Hi guys. My name is Wiig, and this is my sister
Sahana.
and we're really happy to be sharing with you today of our experience as missionary children and growing up in a missionary family. First of all, this is our beautiful view. We live in India in a certain small corner of our country, which is in Manchilyal, Telangana state. And right now, we're sitting on top of a two-storied building, and this roof doesn't have a parapet wall yet. And sometimes that can feel scary coming up. And oftentimes, that's what it feels like when you're in a missionary family. It can be scary. Sometimes you feel like you don't have enough security, that you don't have a safety wall. But today we want to delve deeper into some of the struggles we faced being part of a missionary family and also the joys. So Sahana, why don't you go first?
I just wanted to share about my childhood experience here in India. So when I was a child, my mother used to tell me to learn how to do some chores outside on the campus. But when I did start doing some chores like sweeping the ground, some of the children would come by and say, "You shouldn't be doing that. You're Amma's daughter. You shouldn't do the work. We're supposed to be doing the work." So they would stop me from doing things like that. So I used to feel a little taken aback and feel like why shouldn't I be doing what they're doing? How am I different? So I used to struggle with my identity then. And also another thing that I faced is I used to love playing outside, and many of the children that used to play with me were the children in the hostel, and they used to have a set timetable, and it was hard for me to get them outside the hostel at times because they used to be doing different things when I wanted to play. And so it was a struggle for me to really enjoy sometimes my life, because I would be kind of lonely because they would be doing things that I wasn't part of. And also another thing that I struggled with is I used to make lots of friendships with my classmates here in the orphanage. But the thing is, it's hard to stay in contact after they leave. So it was a difficulty for me to maintain relationships with them, and very rarely they would come for reunions or Christmas times. So it was hard for me to really keep relationships that I started with them.
Yeah, that's definitely an experience I think we all shared. Sumana, myself, and probably Sahas right now. Well, for me, since I'm the eldest in the family, I had a different experience. First of all, the eldest, if there are any elder siblings out there in your group, you probably relate with me. You already have the pressure of being a good example to your siblings, and then I had the added pressure of being a good example to hundreds of other siblings. So it was difficult for me growing up because I always felt like I had to be good. I had to be a model to everyone around me, and I felt like there were very few moments where I could really relax and just be myself. And when I could do that, I felt like I was doing something wrong, and I felt guilty about it. And this was something that I did struggle with, and especially when I used to visit home and when I used to be at home, I used to struggle with those feelings of just accepting myself and being gentle with myself. And I think I did carry out that self-criticism later on into my 20s as well, and when I should have actually left that baggage far behind. But Yeah, it's definitely God's grace that renews us each and every day. And there have been experiences in my life that balanced out the experience I had growing up um, in ministry. So, because I went to boarding school, that was definitely a neutral environment for me where I could express myself and my individuality without having to always be that role model of a person. Okay, so it's not all miserable. There are definitely some very meaningful joys that we experience being in the ministry and serving the Lord, by serving other people. I think because I grew up in this environment, I definitely took it for granted. And I took the joy that we experience by giving to others, by loving others, for granted. It was only when I left India to pursue my further studies in America, and then after working in America, that I realized just how fulfilling it is to work and serve other people. So I think one of the major plus points of serving the Lord as a missionary is the fulfillment you have. All the hard work you put into it, the sacrifices that you make really don't feel like sacrifices because of what you're getting back in return. And that is the love of other people and the happiness that you get to experience alongside other people. And being here and seeing how so many children's lives are being transformed, and knowing that you are that drop in the bucket that is helping to transform these lives really does mean a lot. And it does make you feel like your life is not, in vain, and the work you're putting into it, that God is blessing. And I think you can sleep so peacefully at night knowing that each and every day has meant something to another person. So if you're someone who receives a lot of fulfillment and happiness in making others happy and in serving them, then the call to be in ministry is definitely one of the highest callings. So I talked about how this fall, the absence of it can be kind of scary, but the view is much better. So sometimes there is a silver lining to being out there in the field and experiencing the risks, because God does take you on an exhilarating trip when you just trust in Him and have faith.
I just wanted to tell you about how amazing it is to just have a social life here on the campus, because when you're here you automatically feel like you have friends right there for you. And that's how I was growing up. I constantly had people around me who I could talk to, share everything with, and just make memories. So I really enjoyed just having that environment to live in. And also, one thing is that just knowing that you're living by faith and how God provides your needs is also one thing that really leaves me in awe, because it's God providing sometimes miraculously, and you're in God's just giving will, and just experiencing the generosity of others too is really nice, because sometimes we don't even know who these people are, but you make friendships through these different encounters,
And you experience God's hand, in everything, especially when we receive generosity from so many different people, and that it's definitely the Lord's hand that is working there, and we experience the thrill of being in His will.
yeah. one other joy that I could see is that I would be able to engage with other people's stories. I never faced what these children faced in their younger days, but just knowing what they've gone through and how they're coming out, and just being exposed to something different from what I have been through is just very eye-opening, and it was really wonderful to just understand that there are people who are unlike you and can still manage through God's grace.
I would just like to add that we have seen and met and gotten to know many children who have come from traumatic backgrounds, and we have seen how they carry so much joy despite having suffered so much, and that just gives us so much hope in the power of the human spirit and tenacity that humans generally have, and that is definitely something that God has put in each one of us. And to witness this on a daily basis is really a privilege, and it gives us a lot of faith, in humanity. And yeah, it's really such a joy. My mom always says that if you are called to be a missionary, don't stoop to be a king, because really the happiness and the peace that you experience in serving others, nothing can compare to that.
Yes.
So
I just wanted to add that, in the Bible, when Jesus says, whoever has left their father or mother for the sake of the gospel will receive 100-fold in this life and in the next. So that's really what you experience when you leave your comfort zone to come here.
yeah.